When are we going to wake up, black folks, and unite and do something for ourselves?
All right.
White folk respect black folk respect themselves. It's just that simple all over the world. And until we learn to do that, it's just going to be continue to keep us fighting among ourselves and not having enough. Jackson State ain't going to be funded fully. Auburn not going to be funded fully back. How many of us alumni, including you, Charles Evans, have given $100,000 to your alma mater since you've been out? I'm guilty. I haven't done that much. I've done pretty good. I ain't done that much. And I know I'm 100% Alkanite. But on the other hand, white alumni give millions to their schools. Yet we holler we want to keep the black schools. And they can always be, when they got them few down in the legislature, scratching their heads and grinning everything the governor them say. They'll always be unfunded. There'll always be a lack of equipment. And they can always have less than anyone else, other schools. Now I'm not for merging. I ain't gonna tell that lie. But I'm also for what's right. I'm not for merging. I don't know really where I stand sometimes. You know, if you're black, you're wrong. If you're white, you're right. They claim, but that ain't true either. But my whole thing is, when are we black folk gonna get together? Now, and the honorable president of Jackson State has just came in, and I don't say why he's sitting here. They forgot all about the man who caused this mess, Reverend. You go pray for him now. It wasn't the president of Jackson State. It was the governor of the state. And so they're bringing racist legislators now. That's who came up with the mess. To divide. We're going to bring all them darker schools together, put them together, you know, and then we're going to save. How you going to save taxes, Governor? You know better than that. You just want to start a mess. And now that I understand that the president of Jackson State has had his impression, given out a statement where he feels should be done, all the black folks, the alumni, they jumping all over him. They forgot all about the governor. President Mays didn't start this mess. Governor Haley Barbour the one to start all this mess. And why don't you all be down there raising hell with him instead of threatening to do something to one of your own? Well, he's from out of state. Where the hell are you from? What they got to do with it? He's one of us. Now, I differ with the proposal too, but I would never embarrass or lambaste none of our leaders. Until we let black folks learn that, look at them white folks. They ain't and none of them lambast the governor. Although they didn't vote, we know all the time. He knew it. They couldn't close those schools. He knew that. First place, Alcorn is a land grant college. You can't just take a cut, put it together. You can't do that. But he just did it to divide, again, start some mess up. And he sure got a mess started. And before I go any further, I want to welcome to these mics the Honorable, the President of Jackson State. And I want to make this personal request. I'd ask him, does he mind having calls? He said, no, let him come. But I'm going to tell you now, I'll ask you the same one that called here tonight, be sure you call the governor tomorrow here. That took care of that, didn't it? Now, if you're not going to call the governor's office and say the same thing to the governor, you're going to say to our president tonight, don't call him tonight. Mr. President, welcome to WNPR.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. It's always a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for the opportunity to come and talk to folks. Mostly answer questions, though, because there's a lot of things being said out there that I think are really based on some headlines that were in the Clarion Ledger. But the Clarion Ledger, I think, misled people as to what I was doing, why I was doing it. I did have an idea, and everybody knows what that idea is now, but it wasn't something I was selling. It was just an idea about how we could come together to try to solve some of the real threats I see to the future of our schools. But that was all it was, and then a particular person decided to make it public, this PowerPoint I had done, and once it was out there, I had to sort of make sure that the record was straight. Right. And me being here tonight is part of trying to do that.
So, give us an idea, just what did you say? All of us haven't read it.
Well, yeah, I really did a position paper after all of this happened, just so people could really understand where I'm coming from. Right. Let me start with the governor's proposal. You know, basically what I'm saying is that we could kill the merger, which is done now. That's dead. Yes. And I was officially against the governor's proposal because I didn't think it was right to try to force Alcorn and Valley to become part of Jackson State. I thought that, you know, the family would be fighting for generations. So that, to me, didn't make a lot of sense. But while we were fighting those mergers, there were other things going on. You know, we're already financially challenged, as you know. These budget cuts are going to be very difficult to manage because we don't have the same foundation money that these other schools have, so we can't plug the holes like they can. And then at IHL, you know, they're reorganizing things, you know, shifting the money around, concentrating it in the hands of the larger schools, moving programs around. And the net result, I think, is going to be, after it's all said and done, and some of it is necessary to save money, but let me give you a real example. Jackson State hires more contractors who are black than all the other 7 universities in the state combined. So that if you remove Jackson State as an economic base for black people, then we got real problems in the future. You see? Right. So we could stop the merger, which we've done, but then these other questions are still out there. You know, how do we survive the cuts? How do we save the schools, and how do we get stronger over time so that we can be here to work with and lift up our people? And, you know, I had an idea about how to do that, but the idea was really, I was talking to people one at a time to try to get them to understand the challenges and then come to the table to talk about how to solve the problem. I had an idea, because it's the only idea I could come up with, and the idea was that the 3 schools could get together to save the 3 schools. And my idea was, and it's off the table now, so I really don't want to talk about it too much, but my idea was to start a new black institution that's named after a strong black man and preserve the 3 colleges, you know, the 3 schools, as a part of a system that could serve black people better and stand the test of time.
Where's the money going to come from?
Well, see, that's the thing. And here's the way I try to explain it. You know, we really, the 3 black schools, because we've always been underfunded. You know that, right?
Right.
So basically, we slice up the crumbs, okay? And I think we've been slicing up the crumbs so much that we forgot what a piece of the cake looks like. You know, we really can't afford to have 3 of everything. You know, there's not enough crumbs to go around. So what we would have to do is get together and decide how to coordinate everything we do. For example, the first phase, we don't need 3 human resources offices. You know, we don't need 3 purchasing offices. We don't need 3 construction management departments, you know, so we consolidate those things and start to manage, you know, as a unit as opposed to 3 different departments. And then you go down the line, just to be candid, and this is the part people really don't like. You know, we can't afford 3 football teams. We can't afford 3 bands. Those are very expensive propositions, and, you know, we underpay our faculty. You know, we underpay our staff, and here's the real thing.